How's it going, everybody? Tearing this 200t down, and I just wanted to show you the trigger group, because a lot of people have issues with this, putting this back together. So I want to show kind of what it looks like, and then explain to you one of the easiest ways to put it back together. Also tried to filter some of this fluorescent light with a sheet. I don't know if it's doing much, but alright, so this is the trigger group here. Okay, don't lose this retainer. That keeps everything in place. Okay, so one of the easiest things to do is you may have to pull the filter cover and the carb plate off to get to the actual throttle connection, which is right here, right there. And see, that's broken, so there you go. So you see it actually working. So it's easier to get to and hold in place. And then once you have that set, or once you have, well, I guess it's the choke. The choke is the hardest part to get to. So, because the choke is two pieces, it's right here and right here. And what you have to do is you have to kind of hold the choke in when you pull the carb plate off, and then loop it around. And then you can just slip this rod in here over the top of the choke rod, and then put your retainer in there. And this is the current, essentially, let's see, what kills it. There's your kill wire right there. This is essentially your kill wire. So as soon as this piece here touches it, it kills it. So just wanted to go over that with you. I'm gonna pull this thing apart. We're gonna do some port work to it. I think overall it's a pretty nice unit. Hasn't had a super hard life. I think it's got the typical carb issue that these normally have, which will be fine. Tin Man figured out how to fix that, so I'll follow, the directions in his videos to fix it. So if you have a 200T with that carburetor stumble, go check him out, and he'll show you how to fix it on those Zama carburetors. So that spur probably needs to be changed out, and it'll need a clutch cover and a chain brake, and that'll be it. Compression in this still exceptional, as you can tell. I mean, you hear it. It's pretty good. So I got some literature on porting nitro two-stroke, like nitro race car two-stroke engines. They look almost identical to this. The internals, the way the transfers and stuff are designed. So I'm going to be incorporating a little bit of that into the porting here, and we'll see see how well it does. Anyway, y'all have a good one. Hopefully there'll be some more videos on this at some point. Doesn't look like I'll get to cut this weekend, so I'll probably be out here working on this a little bit. Y'all have a good one. How's it going, everybody? Alright, we're on this 200T. Getting it broke down. Just wanted to show y'all something. So that way y'all don't do what I was about to do and then realize what I needed to do. Okay. This lead wire comes through the crankcase here, this case half, and pops out on the flywheel side. For those of you that don't know, the lead wires on a steel coil literally just thread into that screw. Looks like they got some of that like anti-corrosion gel or something in there. May put some of that back in there when we reassemble it. But that will now allow you to pull the lead wire through this direction without having to remove this looks like some sort of abrasion cover and the torsion spring and plug boot. So I'm gonna clean this up here and then we're gonna pull the cylinder off. Alright, we're about to pop the top on this Pringles can. Let's see if I can get you in view here. Alright, that should work. This is 200t cylinder. That. If you're wondering what this little string is hanging off this thing, you're about to find out. So I can do that instead of twisting it all the way out by hand. Allows me to get the screws out faster. There we go. This, I've already checked the piston and cylinder in this saw. Look good. So we're going to do some things to it. And I'll try to explain those. Get this apart here. Okay. Intake side is, I mean, it shows a little bit of wear from ingestion. Only, I mean, there's some wear on the, I mean, there's still plenty of life left. I'll ask what he wants me to do, whether he wants a new piston or wants to run a used one. I have to look to see what kind of prices we're talking on a new piston. Come on, get out of there. There we go. Alright, that's all of them out. So, this, I mean, looks almost identical to a little RC race car. Instantly, I'm seeing that the muffler is pretty choked up. It appears. And the reason I say that is because, let's see if you can see this here. You see the brown in the transfers? Sometimes that means, I say sometimes because I don't know perfectly. I won't say 100% that I know what's causing that, but sometimes it can be the exhaust is too it's too congested. Is that the proper word? It's not free flowing enough. So what happens is when it's scavenging, it scavenges all the way back down into the transfers and makes, it's just not very efficient. So we're going to try to fix that. So I'll go ahead and tell you what we're going to do here. I can already see how far the piston comes down. Let's open transfer. It's case fed. Check the bearings. Big end bearing feels good. Oh wait, these are roller bearings. You're gonna get play in roller bearings. You won't get play in ball bearings, but you'll get play in needle bearings. I'll need to check that out a little further. Because if they're needle, then you won't. Yeah, they're definitely needle. Because needle bearings are about the only thing you can move the crank back and forth like that. Alright, so let's look at this a little more. So what I'm going to do, alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in. Now let's see if we can go over here now. We got this thing pulled off. Let's see if I can get you set up to where you can see what's going on here. Alright. So, what we're going to do here is, you can see this brown here. This is where the top of the piston stops at. There, everything else is in the windowed portion of the piston. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove a chunk. We're going to taper and then taper those this fin here, because the piston isn't even contacting that part. Alright, so after that, this saw makes a lot of power because these transfers closest to the intake are larger than these are. That's one of the biggest reasons. Trying to think. I'm looking at this, looking. What I might do is I learned a trick reading some documentation that I was so kindly given. You know who you are. And these RC, two strokes, they look almost exactly like this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get in here and I'm gonna cut some of this out right here. I'm gonna cut some of that out. See how sharp that transition is? So I'm gonna cut this out on each one of these transfers, and then I'm gonna fill it with some JB Weld, and then we're gonna go back in and we're gonna round all those corners. Probably not going to touch the timing on the transfers much. We'll delete the base gasket. We might... Oh no, we might, I doubt it. I'll have to see what the timing ends up at. But we might widen the exhaust port a little bit. But based on how large the exhaust is relative to the bore size, probably won't need to. I think all our gains are going to come from the transfers, the transfer work. I saw an interesting technique on these two-strokes, the little race cars. What they do is, well, if I can get this oriented right. I've seen them kind of come out here just a little bit to get that air flowing up above that intake. But depending on where your rings are pinned at, see, your rings are going to be pinned in those exact places. So you probably wouldn't want to do that. You would need rings pinned here in the center of the intake in order to pull that off. So more than likely. So what we might do is just, is that a dome piston? No, that's flat. Combustion chamber also isn't firing towards the exhaust. That means combustion starts on this side over here. You can see the mark where it starts, that black line there. So that's just some preliminaries, a first look, so to speak. So next few days I'll be going through this and getting a game plan, cleaning all the parts up, and we'll get it ported, and then I'll show you kind of what sorry, saw something on the camera, kind of what we ended up doing, and then we'll put it back together and see what happens. Y'all have a good one.